Yes. Brahmavadis, Mayavadis, they may be fearless because aham brahmasmi. I'm the spirit. Nothing can harm me. Devotees are also that, but beyond that, because of their intimate love for Krishna, in order to increase that love, Krishna appears to be in trouble. Yes, when he was in the coils of Kaliya, Nanda Maharaj was beside himself, and poor Yashoda Mai, she couldn't bear it. They were all ready to jump in the poisonous waters which were smoking with venomous vapors. They were ready to just jump in to fight with Kaliya, even though they knew they would die. They couldn't bear it, but Balaram stopped them. Balaram said, "Why are you afraid of this insignificant little water snake? Krishna is my brother. There is nothing to fear. He will take care of him." Of course, Balaram is an Antashesha, so so Kaliya wasn't so much. Yashoda Mai fell unconscious like a cow that had just lost her calf. And all the gopis, they were all in the same distress as her, gathered around her in a circle chanting the glories and the names of Gopal to try to bring her back to life. So this is a fear that is born out of ecstatic love, selfless love. So this is the kind of fear that Srivas was thinking. I have displeased my Lord. When the Lord said, "Is there anyone in this house that is not supposed to be here?" Now, you cannot tell a lie to the absolute truth and get away with it. We do it all the time, but you cannot get away with it. So Srivas, he said, "My Lord, there are no atheists in the house. There are no sense enjoyers or sinners in this house. But there is one Brahmin, very pure, very peaceful, very learned. He's a brahmachari. He follows perfect celibacy. And he's so austere that his whole life he's only eating milk and fruit. He really wanted to see her dancing. So I brought him in the house and hid him in his secret place." When Lord Chaitanya heard that, he became transcendentally enraged. And he cried out, "Right now, at this moment, get him out of this house." How is he going to see my dancing? What is his qualification? What sadhana did he perform to qualify himself? Do you think that by drinking milk one can attain me? Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu raised his arm and stretched out one finger to make the point. It is not by drinking milk or performing any other type of austerity that one can attain me. What qualification does he have? Even if one is a chandala, an illiterate outcast, from a sinful background. If that Chandala takes shelter of me, he or she will claim me, and I will accept them. But even if a person is a sannyasi, completely rejecting and freed from all worldly attachments, with strict sadhana, if that person does not surrender to me with devotion, if that person from his heart does not take shelter of me, I will not favor him. What austerities did Gajendra perform? He was an elephant, or Hanuman, a monkey, or the gopis, simple milkmaids. It is not by austerity. It is only by surrender, sharanagati. It is only by sincerely from the heart taking shelter of me that one can achieve me. And then the Lord cried out, "Get this milk drinker out of here before he pollutes everything. Otherwise, I will destroy everything." Now the brahmachari Brahman, hearing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this angry mood speaking about him, he was trembling with fear. And he stood up from his hiding place right in front of everyone. And everyone was staring at him. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with red eyes were staring at him. And he started walking outside, trembling. But as he was walking, he was thinking in his heart of hearts that I did see the Lord dance. And the Lord is so kind. He knows everything. He knows exactly what I need. And he chastised me because he understood the ego of my heart for my tapasyas and for everything else in my high birth. He gave me just what I needed. It was his kindness to purify me that he chastised me. But still, for a few minutes, he allowed me to see his dance, even though I'm so unqualified. Now, the Lord is seated within everyone's heart. He knows our every thought. He knows our every desire. And he understood the heart of this brahmachari. Tatenu kampam susamikshamano bunjana evatna kritam vibhagam. Lord Brahma explains in the 10th canto of the Bhagavad, who is qualified to attain Krishna? It is the natural inherited right of a person who, even when being chastised by the Lord, directly or indirectly, passes through even unbearable obstacles and tribulations with folded palms and a grateful heart, thanking Krishna. I deserve worse, but you are so kind. That person alone who turns to Krishna with a grateful heart, even in difficult situations, will Krishna show his true favor to. So Lord Chaitanya called the Brahman back. And the Brahman came, and the Lord placed his lotus feet on the head of the Brahman. Why? Because he was so pleased that that Brahman was grateful even when he was chastised, because he had that type of faith in the goodness and the love of the Lord. And the Lord then said to him, it is not by any kind of austerities or tapasya. Even demons perform great tapasyas, Ravana, Hiranyakashipu. But because they have not taken shelter of me, I slay them. I do not give them myself. It's only by devotion. Bhaktyatvananiya shakya aham evam vidorajana. Gyatam drastam cha tatvena pravayasham cha param tapa. Only by undivided devotion, bhakti, can I be understood as I am standing here before you. And then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted that brahmachari as one of his own intimate loving devotees. And seeing the mercy the Lord showed upon him, all the devotees offer their dandavat pranams and loudly chanted the holy name. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu resumed his dancing. In this purport, Srila Prabhupada is explaining how the science and tradition of deity worship, the Archamurti, is such a sublime and effective way of reviving our love for Krishna by rendering personal service. And Srila Prabhupada writes, one should install the deity of Vishnu or Krishna and worship him nicely by dressing him, decorating him with flower garlands, and offering him all kinds of fruits, flowers, and cooked food, nicely prepared with ghee, sugar, and grains. One should offer a flame, incense, and so on, while ringing a bell, as prescribed. This is called the worship of the Lord. So this is the process that Kashyapa Muni has given to Aditi, to worship the Lord. But his emphasis is on devotion. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had some very loving devotees in the village of Srikanda. Do you remember? We all went there for our yatra last. There were 3 devotees who were especially dear to the Lord there, all in the same family. There was Mukunda, Sarakar, his son Raghunandan, and Mukunda's younger brother was Narahari Sarakar. Now I'd like to end class by just speaking a little story which illustrates the purport to this verse and this purport. Mukunda Sarakar, he was a doctor, Vaidya. He had a wife, he had children, he had a business. Once in Jagannath Puri, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw Mukunda, Narahari, and Raghunandan. And he asked Mukunda, are you the father of Raghunandan? And Raghunandan is your son? Or is Raghunandan your father and are you his son? Now that's a very strange question to ask a father toward his son. And then Lord Chaitanya said, please dispel my doubt. Mukunda replied with great enthusiasm. He said, Raghunandan is my father and I am his son. because he has taught me and my whole family what real devotion to Krishna is. This is for certain. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very happy. He said, yes, you have given the correct answer. One who gives us devotion to Krishna should be considered our superior in whatever relative relations we may have. Then Lord Chaitanya began to describe the glories of Mukunda. As I said, he was such a good physician that he was the main doctor for the king of Bengal, the Nawab Hussain Shah, and all the local rulers. One day, a king, Mughal king, he called. He called for Mukunda to help him with some physical ailment. And the king was sitting on a high raised platform. And Mukunda was describing to him what type of medicines he should take. When someone came, see that peacock fan? It's just the right time. Someone came with a peacock fan, the high platform onto the ground directly. And the king was really disturbed. He thought his doctor was dead. How could anyone fall such a distance and not die? So the king got up from his throne and ran down and took Mukunda in his arms and said, are you all right? Are you in pain? Are you hurt? And Mukunda just looked up and said, no, not so much pain. Very indifferently, the king said, why did you fall all of a sudden? I've never seen anything like this. All of a sudden you just fell down. Now Mukunda could have said, well, I saw the peacock feather and went into ecstasy of love for Krishna. But devotees, true devotees, never boast about their ecstatic love for Krishna. They always present themselves as very fallen. So he said to the king, actually, I have a disease that's something like epilepsy. And I went into a fit and fell down. But because of his association with a great devotee like Mukunda, even a Mughal king could understand that actually he was in ecstatic love for Krishna by seeing the peacock feather. Lord Chaitanya said about his devotee, even though he appears to be a very ordinary householder with a family and children, performing his occupation, to an ordinary person, he seems like a very ordinary man doing the same things everyone else does. But in his heart, everything he does is an offering of love to Krishna. He's constantly remembering Krishna, always chanting Krishna's holy names. Lord Chaitanya, he said to the three, he said, Mukunda, I give you the instruction to sincerely earn both material and spiritual wealth. Remain a householder. Remain in your occupation. Remain with your family, but always be absorbed in earning spiritual and material wealth through bhakti. Then he turned to Narahari Sarakar, his younger brother, and he said, you should remain here in Puri with me and remain with devotees and help to spread the preaching. And Raghunandan, the son, he said, you should worship the deity in the temple. In this way, Lord Chaitanya taught that even though these three different types of services are so altogether different, they are actually absolutely one and the same. Because the Lord is bhavagrahi. He sees the spirit of devotion. Whether one is a pujari in the temple, one is living in, or a brahmachari living in the ashram and preaching, or a grihastha living at home with an occupation. It's not that one is better than another. Where there is devotion, there is equal. Grihe tako, vane tako, sada hari bole tako, sukhe dukhe bulo nako, badane hari nam korore, gai gaura madhu sware. This is Mahaprabhu's message. Whether you're a grihastha like a Mukunda, or whether you're a sannyasi living in the forest, if we take the name of Krishna with devotion, we will be free from all the happiness and all the distress of this material existence. Because we will param drisvani vartate, experience the higher taste of Krishna. There's a beautiful story of Raghunandan. When he was just a small boy, he was hardly 5 years old. His father had just given him the sacred Brahminical thread and was teaching him, gradually teaching him about how to worship their family deity, whose name was Gopinath. Now one day, Mukunda, he was called, perhaps by the king, for some work, so he had to leave. Now every day, very, very strictly, with great devotion, Mukunda would offer the Rajbhog offering that his wife would cook, and then he would perform the arati. But on this day, he had to leave. So he told Raghunandan, your mother will cook and you should offer the bhoga to Gopinath. No, Raghunandan really didn't know how to do it. He didn't know all the yantras and mantras and tantras and mudras and pujas. He was just a little boy. But his father had faith in his devotion, and that's what Krishna wants. So the mother made a beautiful thali, and with sabjis and sweets and rice with ghee, and gave it to Raghunandan and said, now my son, offer this to Gopinath. So Gopinath set it on the altar. And he didn't know the mantras or the tantras or the yantras or the mujas or the pujas. So he just looked up at Gopinath and said, eat, eat. So Gopinath ate. How does the deity eat? We learn from Brahma Samhita that all of the Lord's limbs can perform the functions of all the other limbs. So just by his glancing at the food, he's tasting the love and devotion that was put into that food. And when he tastes your bhava, your love, then that food becomes spiritually surcharged with his grace, and it's prasad, mahaprasad. So little Raghunandan, he said, eat, eat. And the food was still there. Then he began to cry. The little boys on the altar weeping, crying, tears, saying, my Lord, my father's going to punish me because he told me to feed you and you're not eating what I'm taking. So he's not going to be happy with me. Am I so fallen? Am I so unqualified that you won't accept my offering? And then Krishna, just seeing the innocent devotion of this child, Gopinath, the Murti, spoke. He said, I already ate. Raghunath said, I don't see that you ate. Everything's on the plate. He said, no, I glanced and I accepted your love and devotion. And Raghunath said, I don't know all this high philosophy about glance. The food is here. Please eat. And again he started crying. So Gopinath came down from his position, sat in front of the plate, and ate every morsel. Now this was taking a long time. And Raghunandan's mother was outside the doors thinking, what is my son doing in there so long? And then he came out, and she came to take the Mahaprasad. But she saw the plate was empty. Now, you mothers are laughing, but if your son, 5-year-old son, came off the altar with an empty plate, what would you think? She was thinking just like that. She said, where's all the prasad? And Raghunandan said, Gopinath ate it. She said, did you eat it? He said, no, I didn't eat. Gopinath doesn't eat like that. You must have eaten it. So he started to cry. No, I didn't eat it. Gopinath ate it. So Mukunda, after a hard day's work, comes home and says to his wife, please give me prasad. She said, there is no prasad. What is this, there is no prasad? And she told him the story. That Raghunandan went in the altar and he was in there for a really long time, and then he came out and said, Gopinath ate everything. So he asked his son, and his son told him everything that happened. At first he didn't eat, but then I cried and he came down and ate. So Mukunda understood that his son was special. He said, make another offering to Gopinath, because I have to go out again. So he gave him a laddu and said, offer this laddu to Gopinath because I have to go. So he went out the door and left. And then as soon as Raghunandan turned around, Mukunda turned around secretly. And from a hiding place, he was watching on the altar what was happening. And little Raghunandan went on the altar, took the laddu, didn't put it on, he took it off the plate and put it right in Gopinath's hand. His father's watching. This is not what he taught him. He taught him Seva Puja according to the Archana Padahati. And then little Raghunandan said, Gopinath, eat this laddu. It's very good. Eat this laddu. And Gopinath didn't want to see his little devotee cry anymore, so he put his hand to his mouth and took a big bite out of the laddu. And Mukunda Sarakar is watching this. And he just went, ah. He made a sound of astonishment. And when Raghunandan heard it, he looked and saw his father. And then Gopinath saw the father and put the laddu. Moved his hand away. And to this day, if you go to Sri Khanda through the Gopinath temple, half of the laddu is still there giving darshan to testify that the Supreme Personality of Godhead accepts whatever is offered with love and devotion. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu turned to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and his brother Vidyavachaspati. And he said that the Supreme Lord has incarnated in two forms in the stage. He has come as wood and he has come as water. And here Srila Prabhupada explains that everything is emanating from Krishna. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. I am the source of all material worlds and spiritual worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who know this perfectly engage in my loving devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Now this is Krishna's definition of wisdom. We hear about wise man, and everybody has different ideas of what it means to be wise. But Krishna says this is wisdom. To understand that he is the source of everything and everything is emanating from him. And therefore, to worship him with all our hearts, with love and devotion. That means this material energy is Krishna's energy. And Krishna is present in his energy. Krishna is present in and between every atom. The impersonalist philosophers, they call this material existence an illusion. And their idea of tyaga, or renunciation, is to give up all of these things. The karmi people, materialists, they want to enjoy Krishna's energy. The impersonalists, they want to reject Krishna's energy. But a devotee sees that everything is for Krishna's pleasure. Even all the temporary phenomena of this material existence, including this body. This body is a temple of the Lord. The Lord is seated within this body. So how? Prapanchakatiya buddhya harishambandhi vashtuna. Rupa Goswami explains, incomplete renunciation is to renounce something thinking it's material. But complete renunciation means to use everything in the service of Thakurji, Sri Krishna. And Krishna, since everything is non-different than him, although he remains the source of everything, like the sun is the source of the sunlight, which pervades everything. Krishna, by his own free will, could make himself present to his devotee anywhere and in anything, even material elements. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained that Lord Jagannath in Puri is Krishna, full-fledged Krishna, with all of his 6 opulences, performing his divine leelas in a way that we can see him, fix our mind on him, and render service to him in the form of Lord Jagannath. And he said, and Krishna has personally appeared in the form of water as Mother Ganges. She is absolutely non-different from Krishna. And she's come to purify our sins, and for those who approach her with the proper purpose, Ganga has come to bestow unalloyed loving devotional service to the Supreme Lord. And then he told Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, your life's mission should be to serve Lord Jagannath, Krishna in the form of wood. And your brother Vidyavachaspati, your mission in life should be to go back to Navadvip and worship and serve Mother Ganga. We will read today's verse. In the bright fortnight of the month of Phalgun, for 12 days ending with Dwadasi, one should observe the vow of subsisting only on milk and should worship the lotus-eyed Supreme Personality of Godhead with devotion. Krishna seeks the devotion in the heart of his devotee. Krishna would wake up early in the morning with his friends to the gopis' houses to steal their butter It wasn't just mischief, because the gopis would churn that butter every state when they would milk their cows, when they would feed their cows grass, when they would... Every stage of making that butter was with pure love, hoping that Krishna would come to taste it. And Krishna reciprocates. He was going house to house, stealing the butter because he was hungry for the butter. Hungry for love. Virat Rupa, we saw what his mouths were doing. Devouring all the greatest kshatriyas on earth. But that was a different situation. That same absolute truth in his original form, the source of all avatars, avatari, is roaming from place to place, searching for the love of his devotees. And the Lord descends into this world to search for the lost souls. And gives us, by his instructions, by his grace, the means to revive that love, because Krishna is hungry for our love. There's nothing that will satisfy Krishna except bhakti. And there is nothing that can satisfy the heart of any living entity except bhakti. Because it's the only reality that connects us to the ultimate object of our love, Krishna. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to this world searching everywhere for everyone. We were discussing last night, it was the appearance day of Vallabhacharya. Sripad Vallabhacharya, this great avatar, he traveled throughout the length and breadth of India. He just wore unstitched clothing, one set. There are 84 baitaks, or places where he sat and spoke the message of pure bhakti to the world. Searching, searching, searching for the lost souls, to bring them back to Krishna. And our beloved Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada, how he searched for the lost souls to awaken that love and bring them back home, back to Krishna. On Krishna's behalf. He traveled around the world 12 times on behalf of Krishna. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Krishna comes to this world again and again and again, hungry for our love, knowing that until we offer him our love, there is only suffering. There could be no satisfaction. And in this age, the Lord has given such a dispensation. Just be humble. Just develop a genuine and sincere attitude to serve others without selfishness, to serve God and be compassionate to others. And with that spirit, I will awaken that love within your heart when you cry out with all sincerity, my holy name. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you very much. Ramdas Ji Prabhu, wonderful to see you. What I see is your head is right beneath the dust of Hanumanji's lotus feet. Let us welcome Ramdas Prabhu to Sri Radha Gopinath Temple with great enthusiasm. And today for the Sunday program, Shamdasji Prabhu, Ramdas Prabhu, and my lowly self will all be here to serve you. Thank you very much.